Chase me, Susie! Chase me!
Good.
Number 6 has been the sixth example of why.
الأمر السادس أن الخبير في فقه المعاملات شرعا واقتصادا يدرك أن هذه العملات ضارة باقتصاديات الدول
And those who are specialists in Islamic finance and in economy, they all understand and perceive that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency is harmful to the economy. Sheikh said, it's harmful to the economy. Now, I agree. Listen carefully. I agree. Bitcoin is harmful to a fiat economy because if people adopt Bitcoin, that means they by necessity are no longer using the fiat currency. And fiat currency only has value because people are bag holders because they're using it. So the less they use it, less value it has. If they get rid of all their fiat and go move to Bitcoin, find the escape route, it will collapse. Not the economy will collapse, but the fiat will collapse. And there's actually a sheikh in Kuwait. I read myself, my own two eyes. He said, Bitcoin is haram because it harms the central banks. I'm not saying the sheikh is saying this, Sheikh Sulaiman Rohani, but there was a sheikh in Kuwait who said that exact word. I posted it on Twitter. And I made a comment saying, what is the world like where scholars now are defending the institutions of riba? Again, I'm not saying Sheikh Sulaiman Rohani, I'm saying that particular scholar who actually said that Bitcoin, the exit for riba, is haram because it actually harms the institutions of riba, central banks. So I do think maybe the Sheikh has heard of that opinion. Maybe not heard the reason or saying that central bank, but there are people who do say, there are scholars who do say that Bitcoin is haram because it harms the central banks, or it harms the ability of the central banks to manipulate the economy and manipulate the value of their currency. That's why you find across the world, whenever countries start having difficulty in their currency, the first thing they do is ban the use of Bitcoin because they realize that Bitcoin is the escape valve. Bitcoin is the way to escape the collapse of fiat. And the easier people can escape the fiat, the quicker it collapse. That's also one of the reasons why even dollars are not allowed in some countries. The dollarization of things, it's not allowed to do transactions in dollars or foreign currencies, not just Bitcoin, but foreign currencies as a whole. Even Turkey, you can't transact in other than lira legally because they want to force you to use their currency at a forced demand. They want to create artificial demand for this currency. That's what it really is. So yeah, I agree. The Sheikh say that it does harm the economy from that angle. Not the economy, but it does harm fiat. And that's why I believe that if you were to put fiat and Bitcoin in an open market and allow anyone to choose what they want, people will choose Bitcoin. Because people realistically, inherently understand that fiat is a dead currency. Continue.
مضعفة لاقتصاديات الدول.
So it weakens the economy. No, it does weaken the currency that the country uses. That's a fact. But that happens without Bitcoin. So many countries, for example, are harmed by what's called dollarization. Like Turkey, at the moment, Turkey is suffering a lot of what's called dollarization, where people are no longer using the local currency; they're using dollars or even euros. So even if you go to a lot of tourist places, they actually have two prices. They have a price in lira and a price in euro because they prefer to have lira euro because it's more stable than the lira. But that harms the lira. The less people use the lira and the more they use other currencies, it harms the lira. So again, this is not unique to Bitcoin. This happens with any foreign currency being used rather than local currency.
وستجعل الاقتصاد في أيدي مجهولين يسيطر.
And essentially, this will put the power of the economy, I guess you could say, it makes the economy in the hands of unknown individuals. So rather than the economy being in the hands of known central bankers, it will put the economy on the power of the economy in unknown entities i.e. the owners of these cryptocurrencies. I guess that's what the argument is. I would say as a counter argument that consider that the price of Bitcoin is determined by an open market, i.e. everyone. That is more reliable demonstration of value than the dictates of a limited number of few people in central bankers, or that kind of stuff. Central bankers decide. Imagine that. Like, imagine 20 people deciding exactly the value of stuff.
على الاقتصاد ويتلاعبون به.
So they dominate over the economy of the country, as in this, because they control the cryptocurrencies, and then they play around with the country.
هي ليست في الدول ولا أستبعد.
So it's not in the hands of the country. Now, this comes underneath the premise or the idea that that countries, central banks, governments actually have control over the economy. To some part, yes, but also no. But let's not.
أنا وإن لم يكن عندي أشياء ملموسة أن يكون وراءها اليهود.
And I don't think it's far-fetched. I don't have anything tangible as evidence, as the Sheikh saying. But
لأن دائما هذه
I think that I believe that those behind these cryptocurrencies or not,
الأشياء المالية الغامضة يقوم عليها اليهود، لأن فكر اليهود في السيطرة المالية.
Generally, these kind of obscure monetary economic things you find always behind them.
في السيطرة على العالم يقوم على فلسفة المال، وكذلك الماسونية.
So those who dominate the world for using money and whatnot and have dominance over it or the world as choose to suggest.
الماسونية العالمية تقوم.
And likewise the Freemasons. So again, listen carefully. This idea about the Jews being behind it, or about the Freemasons being behind it, or the Illuminati, or whatever secret organization. These are all ideas external from the Quran and Sunnah. Listen carefully. The Shaykh is not saying this because the Quran says so, or the Sunnah says so. These are ideas that are external to that. Someone else has said that. Now, I have a video. I mean, all these objections are kind of addressed in other videos, but I have a specific video about this topic: the Jews are behind Bitcoin. Even if a Jew was to, or even if Satoshi Nakamoto was a Jewish person, that doesn't change anything, because Bitcoin is an open source network. The program, the code, is available for everyone to see and observe and look at themselves. And it's far gone beyond Satoshi Nakamoto as it is. He doesn't control the network. If you think he does, then that means you don't understand how protocols work. But again, if this is how the Sheikh views Bitcoin, if this is his perception of Bitcoin, then there's no doubt the reason or contributes to his
فكرتها في السيطرة على الدول عن طريق السيطرة على الاقتصاد. ولا شك أن.
Now, here's what he's talking about is true. That there are organizations that use economics or use things to dominate and control other countries. We know this to be the IMF. We know this to be the International Monetary Fund, IMF, where they give out loans and they give out useless loans or just loans to countries they can never pay back, knowing that they're going to default. So therefore, they can now issue more loans and put them more in debt, and therefore they can control exactly how they function. We know this happens. So the Sheikh here is no doubt talking about that. But the irony is that Bitcoin not came to break that, but by necessity, Bitcoin breaks that. Because I'm not going into the details of it, but the function and the properties of Bitcoin doesn't gel well with interest, with the interest-based, credit-based system. It doesn't work. It causes liquidity issues and whatnot. So to suggest that Bitcoin aids the thing that it actually doesn't aid demonstrates that there needs to be more better understanding. And also, I think that will demonstrate that if the Sheikh actually knew this, he'll be a supporter of it. If he knew that Bitcoin can break the shackles of economic slavery, and I advise you to read a book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman, that describes some of this, what he's talking about now. If he knows that Bitcoin can be used to break this, no doubt he'll be a supporter of it. If that's what his perception was.
الرقمية ستضعف الاقتصاد الموجود ولا سيما إذا
No doubt these cryptocurrencies will weaken the current economic.
يعني ترك لها الفضاء ستصبح اقتصادية.
Especially if it's given a platform and it's allowed, then it will do that. Now, no doubt, a lot of shitcoins, maybe there's a place to be said here. And remember, this is why I'm talking specifically about Bitcoin.
الدول في مهب الريح.
It will become the economy of countries will become like a feather blown in the wind, blown left, blown right because of these cryptocurrencies. And like I said, no doubt there are many shitcoins out there that are there to just steal money from people who have it. No doubt.
يسيطر على الاقتصاد أناس مجهولون يتلاعبون به وكل هذا يجعل
And people, unknown individuals, will be able to take control over economies.
الفقيه يجزم أن فيها غررا كثيرا وجهالات.
And because of all of this, this makes a scholar of fiqh know for sure 100%, make jazm, that there is a great harm in these things. And again, if it's as it's described, I get it. But Bitcoin specifically is not as described.
خطيرة فهي في حقيقتها في أعلى درجات الغرر.
Dangerous unknowns.
الفقيه والاقتصاد.
And this makes them from the highest levels of deception. So yes, he's correct. If you want to talk specifically about all the shitcoin scams, but not Bitcoin.
والتجار.
But the problem is, the Sheikh specifically said earlier on, he's talking about Bitcoin. So here we have the issue of the fatwa when scholars often talk about Bitcoin, they talk about crypto, and they talk about crypto, and then somewhere in the middle of the conversation they say Bitcoin. So they kind of focus their attention on Bitcoin after introducing everything. So
الذين يعرفون السوق يعلمون أنها في أعلى درجات الغرر وقد نهى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
And traders know about the markets, know that this is from the highest level of obscurity.
الله عليه وسلم.
Now, this is interesting about the uncertainty. So I heard people say about Bitcoin's uncertain. So the question is, what about Bitcoin is uncertain? Is it the price? Because uncertainty in price is with a lot of things. Everything is uncertain. And what's the price of oil going to be next week? Who knows? So it's not that can't be it. It can't be the price of Bitcoin is uncertain. Is it the issuance who will get the next block? I mean, that's not an issue. Who cares who mines the next block? As long as we know that the block is mined every 10 minutes, that's all we need to know. We don't need to know who's mining it. The fact is it's mined. So that's not an issue. Who made it? Again, not an issue. I mean, who made Pythagoras' theorem? Who made Euclidean geometry? I mean, there are a lot of things that are unknown, but it doesn't make a difference because we know its properties. We know the properties of Bitcoin. We know the code of Bitcoin. So again, that's unknown. So what exactly about Bitcoin is unknown, is majhul. If I gave you one Bitcoin, you know exactly that I gave you one Bitcoin. So if I say I'm going to sell you a car for one Bitcoin and I write in a contract, there's no jahala, there's no ambiguity. It's quite clear. Car on Bitcoin, straightforward. Ambiguity in a trade would be something like, I'll sell you a bag and has inside that bag some stuff. What's inside there? I'm not telling you. Can I do that transaction? No. Why not? Because it's majhul. There's ambiguity in it. I don't know what's inside it. I don't know. Or like riba itself, like interest. I'll give you a loan, but if you're late, every day you're late, 1% extra. So how much will I end up paying in the end? I don't know. It depends on how long you're late. You could be late a week, a month, a year. I don't know. There's ambiguity. So ambiguity in the transaction is a real objection. But when it comes to Bitcoin, there's no ambiguity. It's quite clear how much the Bitcoin will be, how much Bitcoin exchanges. So I object to the idea that Bitcoin has gharar. We know its properties, it's very clearly known. We know the code, that's clearly known. And the amount you're going to transact is clearly known. It's clearly known. Even the fees, you dictate the fees, it's all known. Now, if the idea about the gharar is the price, I don't know how much the price is going to be, then I would say, okay, if I was to steelman the argument that the price of Bitcoin is majhul, i.e., I say I want to sell this car for 1 Bitcoin. By the time you do the transaction, maybe the price of Bitcoin has gone up a bit, gone down a bit. So therefore, is unknown the price of Bitcoin. Let's steelman that. Let's say, yeah, that's an issue. Cool. But doesn't that also exist with other currencies? When I buy things from China to sell on Amazon, they get yuan, I use pounds. There's uncertainty for them how much they're going to actually get. Or there's uncertainty for me how much I'm actually going to pay. Unless they're accepting the pounds and they just take the pounds whatever they have and they don't care about their local currency, then fair enough. But the point here is uncertainty in how much you're going to actually pay due to fluctuation of value exists with currencies as it is. If I go to Turkey as a holiday and I use my debit card to pay for something, I have no idea what it's going to be in my bank account. I mean, no one does the calculation in their head, and no one actually knows how much is actually going to be charged. So again, one has to be fair. If this actually the genuine objection, then you have to be consistent. You can't just apply it to Bitcoin, but when it comes to fiat, we cover our eyes.
عن بيع الغرض نهى النبي
And the Messenger of Allah forbade selling something which is uncertain, or having extreme uncertainty in trade.
صلى الله عليه وسلم عن بيع الغرض كما في صحيح مسلم ولا شك جزما أن هذه العملات الرقمية في أعلى درجات الغرض.
And there's no doubt that this cryptocurrency has the highest level of uncertainty.